Weddings are supposed to be joyful occasions, filled with love, laughter, and family. At least, that's what I had always believed. But my upcoming wedding, the event I had spent months planning down to the last detail, turned into the backdrop for one of the biggest betrayals of my life. I'm Olivia, 28F, and I've been engaged to my fiancé, Ryan, 31M, for over a year. Our wedding is scheduled for next month, and I've been planning it meticulously. I chose a stunning vintage-inspired wedding dress that felt like the embodiment of everything I wanted our big day to represent: timeless, elegant, and uniquely me. But what I didn't know was that my younger sister, Emma, 25F, had other plans for my dress, and my trust. The moment I saw the dress, I knew it was the one. It was a gorgeous ivory gown with intricate lace detailing, a sweetheart neckline, and a flowing A-line skirt. I felt like a princess when I tried it on, and my mom cried the second I stepped out of the fitting room. I brought Emma along to the fitting because we've always been close. She had always been my confidante, the one person I could turn to for advice on anything. When I asked her opinion about the dress, she smiled and said, "It's perfect. You look incredible, Liv." Emma had been dating her boyfriend, Jake, 27M, for about 3 years. They seemed happy, but they had always been a bit unconventional. They were the type of couple to skip traditional anniversaries and take spontaneous road trips instead. Emma often teased me about how much effort I was putting into planning my wedding. "It's just one day," she'd say with a laugh. "You're stressing yourself out for nothing." But despite her casual attitude about weddings, she was there for every step of my planning process, from picking out centerpieces to taste-testing cakes. That's why her betrayal hit me so hard. It started innocently enough. I had scheduled a final fitting for my dress a month before the wedding. I wanted to make sure everything was perfect and ready to go. I went to the bridal boutique with my mom, but when the staff brought out my dress, my heart dropped. The once pristine gown looked different. The hem was dirty, the lace detailing was slightly frayed, and there were faint makeup smudges on the neckline. My mom and I exchanged confused looks before I turned to the sales associate. "What happened to my dress?" I asked, my voice shaking. The associate looked equally puzzled. "I'm not sure. We keep all dresses in garment bags, and they're only removed for fittings." She suggested that perhaps the dress had been mishandled during transport, but I wasn't convinced. Something about the state of the dress felt personal. I took the dress home with me that day, determined to figure out what had happened. My mom tried to reassure me, but my anxiety wouldn't let it go. That evening, I decided to air out the dress and inspect it more closely. As I examined the hemline, I noticed something odd: faint stains that looked like grass and dirt. I felt a pit form in my stomach. Suddenly, a memory flashed in my mind. A few weeks earlier, Emma had mentioned that she and Jake had taken a weekend trip to the countryside. At the time, I thought nothing of it. But now, the timeline and the state of my dress were starting to add up in a way that made my stomach churn. I called Emma immediately. "Hey, Liv," she answered cheerfully. "What's up?" "Emma, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Did you take my wedding dress?" There was a long pause. I could hear her breathing on the other end of the line. Finally, she sighed. "Liv, I can explain." My heart sank. Emma admitted that she and Jake had eloped a few weeks earlier. They had decided to keep it a secret from everyone, including me, because they didn't want the drama of a big family wedding. She said that in the rush of their spontaneous decision, she didn't have time to get her own dress. "So you just took mine?" I asked, my voice rising. "I was going to put it back," she said defensively. "I thought it would be fine. I didn't think you'd even notice." "You didn't think I'd notice?" "Emma, the dress is ruined." She started crying, but I couldn't bring myself to feel sympathy. "I'm sorry, Liv," she said between sobs. I didn't think it through. I thought it would be special, like borrowing something from my sister for the most important day of my life." I hung up on her. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions. I felt betrayed, hurt, and angry. How could Emma do something so selfish? How could she take something that was so important to me and use it without even asking? When I told Ryan what had happened, he was furious. "That's completely unacceptable," he said. "She needs to pay for the repairs or buy you a new dress." My parents were equally shocked. My mom cried when she saw the state of the dress, and my dad, usually the peacemaker, was visibly angry. "Emma needs to apologize properly," he said. "This isn't something you just brush under the rug." But when I confronted Emma again, her apologies felt hollow. She offered to pay for the cleaning, but her tone suggested she didn't fully grasp the gravity of what she'd done. It's just a dress, she said at one point. You can get it fixed? It's not just a dress, Emma, I snapped. It's my wedding dress. It's the one thing I've dreamed about since I was a little girl. And you took that from me without even asking? She started crying again, but this time, I walked away. Emma tried reaching out to me multiple times over the next week, but I ignored her calls and texts. I wasn't ready to talk to her. My trust in her had been shattered, and I didn't know how to move past it. Eventually, my mom stepped in. Liv, I know you're hurt, and you have every right to be, she said. But Emma is your sister. You need to find a way to talk to her, even if it takes time. I wasn't sure I was ready, but I agreed to meet with Emma for coffee. When we sat down, she looked genuinely remorseful. Liv, I know I messed up, she said. I didn't think about how much this would hurt you, and I hate that I made you feel this way. I was selfish, and I'm so sorry. For the first time, her apology felt real. As I sat across from Emma, I could see the weight of her regret etched on her face. For the first time since this whole ordeal began, I felt a sliver of hope that we might actually mend our relationship. I don't know how to make it up to you, she said, her voice cracking. But I'll do whatever it takes, Liv. I know I can't undo what I did, but I want to fix this, and fix us. Hearing her say that softened something inside me. While I was still deeply hurt, I realized I didn't want this to be the end of our bond. Emma wasn't just my sister, she was also one of the most important people in my life, and the idea of losing her completely was too painful to bear. I appreciate that, I said quietly. But it's going to take time. This wasn't just about the dress. You broke my trust, Emma. And trust isn't something you can fix overnight. She nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. I understand. I'll give you all the time you need. True to her word, Emma took full responsibility for repairing the dress. She found a reputable seamstress and dry cleaner who specialized in restoring wedding gowns, and she covered all the costs. I was skeptical at first, unsure if the dress could ever be salvaged, but when I went to pick it up a few weeks later, I was blown away by the results. The hem had been cleaned, the lace detailing was repaired, and the makeup stains were completely gone. It wasn't exactly the same as it had been before, but it was close enough that I felt like I could wear it with pride. When I tried it on at home, standing in front of the mirror, I felt a wave of relief. For the first time since discovering what Emma had done, I could imagine walking down the aisle in my dream dress. Despite the progress with the dress, the emotional wounds were harder to heal. Emma made an effort to reach out to me regularly, but I often found myself keeping her at arm's length. I couldn't shake the lingering resentment, even as I saw her trying to make amends. One evening, I opened up to Ryan about my conflicted feelings. I want to forgive her, I admitted. But every time I think about what she did, it's like the anger comes rushing back. How do I get past this? Ryan took my hand and gave it a reassuring squeeze. It's okay to feel that way, he said. Forgiveness doesn't mean you forget what happened. It just means you're choosing to move forward. Take your time, Liv. She'll wait for you. His words gave me comfort, and slowly, I began to let my guard down. I started responding to Emma's texts more often, and we even met for coffee a couple of times. Each interaction felt like a small step toward rebuilding the closeness we once had. The morning of my wedding arrived faster than I expected. As I stood in the bridal suite with my mom and bridesmaids, putting on my dress for the final time, I couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. The dress was a symbol of so much, not just my love for Ryan, but also the challenges I had faced leading up to this day. When I walked down the aisle and saw Ryan waiting for me at the end, all the doubts and stress melted away. In that moment, all that mattered was the love we shared and the life we were about to start together. Emma was there, sitting in the front row with my parents. She looked radiant in her own dress, and I could see tears in her eyes as she watched me walk toward my future. After the ceremony, Emma pulled me aside for a private moment. You looked beautiful, Liv, she said, her voice thick with emotion. I'm so happy for you. Thank you, I said, smiling softly. She hesitated for a moment before continuing. I know I can't change the past, but I just want you to know how much I admire you. You're strong, forgiving, and kind, even when I didn't deserve it. I'm so proud to call you my sister. Her words hit me hard, and for the first time, I felt like I could truly let go of the anger I had been holding on to. I'm proud to call you my sister too, I said, pulling her into a hug. Let's not let anything like this come between us again. In the weeks and months after the wedding, Emma and I continued to rebuild our relationship. It wasn't always easy, trust takes time to repair, but we were both committed to making it work. Emma showed her sincerity through her actions, not just her words. She went out of her way to support me, whether it was helping me settle into married life or simply being there when I needed someone to talk to. As for me, I learned to let go of the resentment and focus on the bond we shared. I realized that while Emma's actions had hurt me deeply, they didn't erase the years of love and support we had given each other. Looking back, the experience taught me a lot about forgiveness, trust, and the complexities of family relationships. Emma's betrayal was a painful reminder that even the people we love most are capable of making mistakes. But it was also a testament to the power of reconciliation and the strength of the bond we share. Today, Emma and I are closer than ever. She's become one of my biggest supporters, and I know I can count on her no matter what. While I wouldn't wish this experience on anyone, I'm grateful for the lessons it taught me, and for the sister who worked so hard to make things right. Family isn't perfect, but it's worth fighting for. And in the end, that's what matters most. TLDR, my younger sister secretly stole my wedding dress to use for her elopement, leaving it damaged and stained. I was devastated and felt deeply betrayed, leading to a major fallout between us. After heartfelt apologies and her covering the costs to restore the dress, I began to slowly forgive her. On my wedding day, we shared a private moment that helped mend our bond. While it took time and effort, we worked through the hurt, and our relationship is stronger now than ever.